warm welcome to Nirmal Bang, ladies and gentlemen. I am Hiral Dadia. We have with us Alok Tandon, CEO, Inox Leisure, joining in. Alok, a very warm welcome. First of all, I want to understand, in spite of, let's not just talk about business, but what's your overall feel with regards to what's happened in the lockdown? How was it working from home? And now that you're back to office, does it give you that excitement?
Well, yes, absolutely. To tell you that when I walked into our office on 8th of June, I think after about 7-8 weeks, it was a different feeling altogether. So for me, it was like coming back home. I know that my family would not like me saying that, but yes, I was like in my own comfort zone when I came back and stepped into my office. So that's how I feel even today. Though we are working with 10% growth strain and we are sticking to it, but I think people are excited to come back. Working from home was a totally different ball game. I would say that for everybody, it was sitting on a particular table, logging into your net, erratic net. There were times when you were in a serious discussion with someone and all of a sudden you knew that you were just talking to a screen where you could only see your face and everything else was gone because the net had shut. You had to reboot everything. So there were, I would say, times like that. But to tell you honestly that we did a lot of work during the lockdown. I can say for Inox that it was a time when we said this is a time that we can go back to the drawing board, see that how we can start a different Inox, not an Inox 2.0 or an Inox 3.0. I would say that we were planning for an Inox 10.0. That's how we were looking at it. So revisited Hiral every line item of our expense, revisited each and every standard operating procedure, ensured that when we come back, we bounce back and start doing the best which we have ever done is to show movies to our guests, how to make them comfortable, how to win back their confidence, what all safety protocols can we have, which we not only shared with the government authorities, but also told our stakeholders, our partners everywhere, whether it was the producers, whether it was our landlords, whether it was our guests who were coming in, that how safe we will be when we open because of A, B, C, D, E measures, which we are taking and we will take. So I would say that was the lockdown work we did. And slowly, I hope that this we slowly start unlocking, we start opening our screens and start showing movies. That's how I would talk about it.
Absolutely. I think that's something which all of us are missing as well as to going to theaters. This was something where we were talking about as well, that the social behavior of people is something that could be changing because all of us love shaking hands. All of us like greeting each other by hugging each other. Movies, cinema halls, theaters, all of these are places where, socializing is a must. And is that behavior amongst all of us going to change? But, and this was a question that I was talking to a lot of psychologists as well. And everyone's of the opinion that human psychology is not going to accept a change like this. We are all social animals and we will have to get back to our normal routine sooner or later. But what's your anticipation, Alok, with regards to by when are you expecting, number one, theaters to restart? And number two, when do you see normalcy returning then?
Okay, just continuing where you stopped earlier about we being social animals, I would say that, let me continue with that. Cinema today, we were always saying that it's a melting pot of emotions. People come back, they enjoy, they come with their family, friends, and just imagine in a place where they spend time together, we are telling them to have social distancing. So that's the new norm which has come, but maybe for the next couple of months and then we'll back bounce to the new normal will become the old normal, I think, when we'll all forget about it. We'll be careful for sure, but we'll start mingling again with our friends, with our families, share a popcorn, a Coke and all those things and move on. Answering your question that when do I see us opening? Well, we have made various representations to the government of India. We have made representations to the state governments. We have told them all the safety protocols that we will follow. and we are waiting for the government to get back to us. So, speaking with you, I can't say that so and so month or so and so date will open. Um, but when we talk about how the people will react and what the occupancies would be when we open, well, I'll be not shy in saying that we should open, or we will open with single digit occupancies, which will slowly ramp up week on week, because the word will spread by word of mouth that the chains are safe place to go to. Inox has done ABCD things to ensure that people are safe. Social distancing is there, deep cleansing is done. There are people who are in masks, wearing gloves. A temperature of every person who's walking in is checked. So we'll be doing a lot of activities. We'll be using single-use disposable packaging for our food items. So various steps we have taken. Social distancing in the auditorium. So I think, how things will pan out is that we'll start with a single digit, but I feel that they will slowly inch up week on week. Also, the movies, maybe for the first 1 or 2 weeks, people do not release any movie. But then when they see that people are coming back, for example, and I told you that uh, I think, not I think, we will be the last to open. And by that time, other, whether it's public transport, airlines, malls, restaurants, everything would have opened. And we
Right.
would learn a lot from them. And we can also tweak our SOPs accordingly. So
Absolutely.
that will give more comfort and more confidence to a guest to come into our theaters.
Right. So,
And where movies are concerned, yeah, go
okay,
ahead, please.
go on, Alok. Sorry.
No, I said that, and where, as I said, that it may take 2 or 3 weeks for a new movie to come in. But then seeing the traction, seeing the people coming in, I think other movies will also slowly coming in, and they'll come up with the release dates and release plans. We know today Mulan is coming as of now in third week of July, 24th July. Tenant, though was supposed to come on 17th of July, has been pushed back to 31st of July. What we have come to know that some of the states in the US have allowed cinemas to open. Even cities like Los Angeles and New York have said that they should open by mid-July. They should. We don't know whether it's there or not there. But people are now slowly opening up, and that I think is a good indication that people will start trickling in, and in a few months' time, it'll be back to normal.
Absolutely. I mean, all of us are hoping that, as sooner
Right.
we are back to normal. But with this, the number of days that we've been shut right now, what has been the impact overall on the theater business?
Well, well, the impact of COVID-19, I would say, is unquestionably the biggest that the cinema exhibition industry would have seen globally in its century-old history. It's never happened that all the screens across the world are shut and there's no revenue at all. Um, well, this is how the situation is that from, I would say, mid-March onwards, with the every state government giving us a directive to shut down, we shut all our screens, and today we have a zero income. It's never ever happened in the history of the Indian or the world cinema industry. So things are today not too good. But at the same time, I think that uh, I'm an optimist, and the cinema exhibition sector, as I just said, will make a remarkable turnaround. And as we all know, that we are backed by the unshakable passion which our people have in India to watch a movie. We all are cinema lovers. We all love to go to a cinema hall to watch great content on a large screen. And from our side, Hiral, what we are doing is that we are pampering our guests uh, by the three legs which we talk about, which is service, technology, and luxury. So we have got a very strong foundation of our own, and I think it's a matter of time before we all bounce back, and the movies are released on the large screen.
Right. So, I mean, it's a given that overall, at least April to June, in fact, the month of March has already been covered, but April to June, or maybe even some bit of July, probably would be a washout for multiplexes, cinema
Right.
owners, and it's a given. I mean, there's no
It's a
debate over
given.
that.
Why multiplexes? I would say for everybody.
Everyone, all sectors, in fact, majority of the sectors who've been on that side of the table, it is a washout. Now, how are you expecting FY21 as a year to pan out? What's the kind of degrowth that you are taking into consideration? And do you think it will be best from here on to focus on FY22 from a financial perspective?
Well, I would say that FY 22, yes, we should focus on to see that what we do starting 1st April 2022. But at the same time, you were right in saying that Q1 is a watchout. July, I don't know. I doubt that we'll be able to open in July or till mid-August. We have no clue. So we'll be just assuming things. Uh, the second half of this financial year, let's say H2, some normalcy may start trickling in. And again, we are just assuming things. We have no clue that when we will open. But as I just said, that maybe from H2, when we open, there'll be some movies coming out. There'll be people who'll start marketing their movies, and which will come 3 weeks after they have started marketing it. There are some blockbusters already lined up, which could not see the daylight on the screens because we were told to shut. So things are, I would say, fluid as of now, but I'm very hopeful that come the festive season, things should be normal and we'll be there showing blockbuster movies, the tentpole ones, and people coming in large numbers to watch movies. Because as I said, by that time, all other public places would have opened and people would be comfortable going there, or they would be knowing that what precautions they have to take when entering a particular place. And from our side also, as I just said, we'll be ensuring that a guest is comfortable in our environment.
Right. So with this, Anand, the other problem that arises is, especially even for the manufacturing companies, is right now that they are operating at lower utilizations. So that's impacting their margin profile right now, but then there is no option.
Right.
Similarly, for the entertainment side of business, if you have to take leisure in terms of hospitality, travel, or even for that matter, theaters, what is going to happen is once we start getting back to normalcy, by the time footfall and occupancy starts increasing, there will be an operational impact that we are going to see. I mean, probably instead of having a house full, you could be having only 50% occupancy or start
Right.
off with 5%, 10%. How much are you anticipating that bit to come in as a troublesome point?
Well, we all know that we'll start with low occupancies, but at the same time, we'll also reduce our costs, which we have done now. Maybe we do not have a full concession menu, but only a part of it.
Okay.
We don't run in, it depends on the government, whether they tell us to operate in a single shift first, which slowly moves on to a shift and a half and then 2 shifts. So we have no clue. But we as a chain are ready. In Inox, as I said, that we have used this downtime, this lockdown for us to prepare our various scenarios. If we are if we are allowed to open for a single shift, how do we control our costs? Because we knew that the revenues will be little. If we are allowed to operate a shift and a half, what manpower should we have? What material should we have in our counters? How do we ensure that the food is not wasted? So those are the things, Hiral, which we have worked on. And yes, the scenario is, as I earlier said, is for anybody to guess. But from our side, what we can do is be ready with various plans. For example, plan A, plan B, plan C, see that how things will pan out, and ensure that while the revenue is less, and so the cost overheads also have to be controlled, and we all work towards it.
Right. And with this, Alok, what happens is we will have to maintain hygiene. So probably there's a possibility where you might have to provide masks to all of us who are coming in the theaters.
Right.
Usage of sanitizers is something that is going to increase. Probably you might have to leave a seat between two people sitting as
Sure.
well. So if
Yeah.
all of this happens, do you think there is a possibility that we could see a price hike that could be in the offing?
See, today when we talk about price hike, Hiral, it's too myopic. I don't even want to talk about price hike. Today, for me as a CEO of Inox, is to ensure that people come back to us.
Correct.
Ensure that they are comfortable. And yes, we'll be spending a lot where hygiene is concerned, where housekeeping is concerned, where chemicals are concerned. So all those things will be there. But for us today is not to look at the price of a ticket. It is to ensure that when a person comes to us, when a guest comes to us, he is confident in the Inox brand, that I'm entering Inox, I will be safe over here. And that is something which we as a team have to concentrate on, is to ensure that we give the best and we don't let down our customer.
Right. So, Alok, with this, I mean, do you think that the capex plans that all of us as companies had, that's something which will be, some part of it will actually be spent on the operational side to meet the operational costs in FY21 to provide this kind of experience?
Well, capex as it is, we have deferred.
Hmm.
We have not cut short our expansion plans, not at all. But yes, we have just deferred them. But there are about 41 screens which we can just talk about where the work is more than 85% over.
Uh-huh.
So that is something which we will invest in. We will continue that entire project fit out which we have taken over so that we launch those 41 screens, and then we'll take a call that depending on the cash flows, that how many more screens we have to take for fit outs so that we can open. But as I said, that our capex is only deferred where expansion is concerned, nothing else. And I'm proud to say that we have about 1,000 screens signed already, and we are serious about them. It's just a matter of time before when we get possession and when we start our fit outs.
Right. And overall, right now, we're talking to, I mean, to single screen owners as well. And they have been finding it the most difficult, Alok, to survive in these times. Because if
Right.
you talk about an Inox, if you say probably talk about Carnival or PVR, any of the largest chains, survival is still easier versus the smaller guys. And their opinion was that we would love it if the management is probably taken over fast screens by any of these large players. Have you been open to something like that?
Well, I would not like to talk about it, Hiral, but this is something which depends, and if an opportunity comes, we'll have to see that. But today, as I said, that rather than looking at taking over cinemas, we are just looking inwards to seeing that how we control our costs, how do we complete these screens which are already under fit out,
Correct, correct.
and how do we take care of other elements in the business. So this is something which we are focusing on today, and not as of now that we are ready to take another chain or not.
Like, yeah, this conversation was more not from the chain perspective, but this was more from the perspective, Alok, that for example, say a single screen, because survival is difficult, they're saying
Sure.
that we don't want competition. We want
Right.
we want to get co-opetition into sectors where all of us can work as family.
Right.
So that was the conversation that I was going towards.
Okay.
Yeah. And with this, what's your sense with regards to competition from OTT platforms?
Well, I would say that a lot has been talked about it.
I know.
I Yeah. Well, let me make it clear that um, OTT is we are just talking about competition, but it is not a competition.
Correct.
Well, what are we doing till today, and how the two streams have worked, whether it's OTT or the cinema halls? Well, there's a globally prevalent and accepted windowing system, and that's always ensured that there is no competition. First, a guest sees the movie on a giant screen, and after a couple of weeks, he can choose to see the movie on an OTT also. And I would say that every stakeholder in the value chain stands to gain in this process. In fact, there's been a lot of research backing that this phenomena of windowing is good both for the OTT as well as for the cinema. Because let me tell you that about 60 to 65% of revenues from a movie comes from domestic theatrical. And there are times when the value of this domestic theatrical business helps the producer get a value from the OTT platform. So that's how it is. Uh, in the current scenario, we are just saying that, and what happened in the last couple of weeks, I would say, is that kindly let's all stand together. If a movie has been made for the giant screen, let's watch it on the giant screen. It's a matter of 2 or 3 months, and it's a win-win situation for all.
All.
And as I just said, that every phase in the cinema value chain has its own significance, and with the theatrical phase being the most value-generating phase, we expect the windowing pattern to be followed. That's exactly what we were saying here.
Right. So, do you think it's mainly going to be the low-cost production houses, or low-cost movies are the ones probably could even think of getting onto the OTT platform with regards to the release? versus the big screen. I mean, the bigger guys will wait it out to get it out, in the cinema theaters.
Well, that's for them to decide. That's for every producer to decide whether he would like to go to OTT or to a cinema screen. We cannot force that, but we can only say is that if you made a movie for the giant screen, please release it over there. And it's a matter of time before we all bounce back and we see those great products which you have made on the large screen.
Absolutely. I mean, the experience is, I mean, there is no distinguishing factor over there. I mean,
Right.
the experience that you get at the theater, how much ever you be at, I mean, how much ever you're at home, how much ever it might be on the biggest of the screens that you can have at your home, I don't think so you can match that experience that you
Sure.
get at the theater, along with the kind of food and, the F&B that's coming in. But overall, if we are seeing normalcy returning, say from 6 to 8 months down the line, Alok.
I hope it's much earlier than that.
Yeah, I'm saying normalcy in the sense that, okay, we will, I mean, come back to that 95, 100% occupancy, at least by then. So FY22, do you think that here again will be the kind of revenues, the kind of profitability that we saw in the last 3 to 4 years? Do you think we will be able to come back to those kind of numbers?
Absolutely. I think we'll come back with a vengeance. The entire industry and Inox in particular, we'll be back with a vengeance. There'll be movies which will be there, and I know that there are some great movies being lined up. And there'll be, I would say, people would like to come out. Today, people, they want to breathe differently. They want to just come out of their homes and enjoy with family and friends. And that, I think, will happen. And FY22 would be a normal year like any other year in this film industry.
Absolutely. We hope that that continues as well in terms of being a normal year. And very lastly, Alok, anything that you want to tell our viewers as well?
Well, I would say that Inox will bounce back. We are just raring to go. We'll be more battle hardened and more smarter when we come back. And we would love to welcome you back at the Inox Theatre, which is closest to your house.
Absolutely. I think all of us are waiting for that. Alok, if you don't mind, there are 2 or 3 questions that are coming in from the viewers.
Sure.
One is, what is your say about Galabo and Sitabo, which was made for the big screen but released on OTT?
What do I have to say? I just said that we requested everybody. It would have been great if we would have waited. But then they choose to go on an OTT. It's their call.
Absolutely. I think probably even they're in a catch-22 situation right now. And I think they're also thinking that probably people sitting at home need entertainment of some sort.
Sure,
So I
sure.
think you'll have to, yeah. And the other one is, could you throw some light on your DTA remeasurement adjustment of approximately 69 crores in the fourth quarter of FY20? Will there be any cash flow implications of this line item? And if this was a one-time adjustment?
Yeah, it was just a one-time. There's no cash outflow in this. It was just an index adjustment which we did, and also the DTA, the deferred tax which we had. So there's no cash outflow. We still have a strong and a robust balance sheet, and we will continue having that going forward. So this DTA was just a one-time with no cash impacted.
Right. And lastly, going ahead, maybe expect an effective tax rate of 30% of PBT.
I'm going ahead, maybe expect an effect. Well, I will not be able to answer that question now all of a sudden. But it depends. And that's something which I would say that we can discuss and get back to people when we have investor calls, when we come out with the results, that what will be the effective tax rate.
I think once normalcy
really may not be in the position to answer that as of now.
Right. I think once normalcy returns, once we understand as to what the forecast could even actually look like, I think that's when these kind of financial questions could be answered as well. I'm sure. Thank you, Alok. Thank you so much for joining in. Great insights, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation as well. I think the first day you have the next release, that's when I'm going to come back to you to ask you how has the experience been.
Great. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye.